What's happening, everyone? It's GBall, and I have a really cool folding knife here to unbox for you, coming in from Ketuo. And I say it's cool because it's going to be under $100, and they're not known for budget knives. Typically, it's more premium, more exotic stuff, but with the Woody, it's going to be under 55 bucks. Now, if you've never dropped in before, welcome to GBall Vision. Drop a comment below. Let me know what your EDC is if you would like, or just let me know what you think of the knife we are checking out. These are going to come in at 53 bucks. There's at least 4 different versions on release, and when you're seeing this video, these knives are going to be available. I'll have a link down in the description. 53 bucks across the board. I think there's G10, and 2 different PEIs, I believe is how it goes. This is obviously the red smooth. It's got a light texture to it, but it's more smooth than it is anything else. A very, very light texture. Very nicely finished stuff though. Looks like good quality and has very nice finishing work to it. Great access to that liner. It does have a slight chamfer. Nice and clicky, I can tell already. Detent is absolutely spot on. Ooh, yeah, for a liner lock, pretty impressive. Talk about obsessive. We do have a pokey harpoon 14C 28N blade there. Fuller running into a cutout, running into studs, then ending with a front flipper, and that seems to be done very good. I like this. I like this quite a bit. Not typically my size, as many of you know, but I've come around on 5th pocket knives, and I do most times carry a smaller knife like this. I'm a bigger fan of larger knives, right? But I love me a little knife as well. Jimping up the spine here, full length backspacer, which is a really nice touch. You know I love that. And then a deep carry clip. Both of those are going to be steel. There is a lanyard hole through the backspacer for the lanyard fans, and that clip is going to be left-hand friendly. So very nice touch on this fellow. Let's see what we're looking at for the size. Definitely not a big boy. Here we go. Coming in at 6, and we'll give it 6 5/16, 2.5 inches of cutting edge, and we'll say 2 3/4 of total blade. And for some size comparisons, the Spyderco PM2 and Para 3 up top, you can tell it's a little bit smaller than something like the Para 3. Here's what it looks like up against the new Ketuo Akimbo and the Ketuo full-size Griffin. Almost could be a micro Griffin. Not the same designer though, so we couldn't say that, but very Griffin-esque, and that's not a bad thing. As many of you know, this is one of my favorite designs ever. Grab the 50 ways baked in GBall Vision Hank here and get a look at this pocket clip. If you like a deep carry, this is certainly going to fit the bill, and you won't have any issue getting this in or out of the pocket. You won't see much of that knife whatsoever, just the very butt end of it. Otherwise, that's going to look nice and clean. I get tired of the same old budget pocket clips, you know. Companies that's like the last thought on a knife, and as someone who critiques knives often, that bothers me. I think even if it's a more affordable design, it is fine to play around with different clips. You know, at least a couple. Instead of like, yeah, we'll throw our normal standard clip on it, you know? Oh, okay. I don't know. I prefer companies spread out the love a little bit with the design of the pocket clip. And it's nice to see Ketuo isn't just doing the same old that a lot of companies tend to repeat. So good job on the clip there. Could do without the Ketuo, but not a huge deal. I wanted to look You'll have to let me know what you think of the sharpening choil. The plunge dies off right there. So you should get a couple of sharpenings out of this guy, several sharpenings out of this guy. If you disagree, feel free to let me know down in the comments. Get the arch nemesis out here and give this bad boy a weight check. Now, I like to play a little game here on the channel with the new knives that come in, and I attempt to guess the weight. I always invite you to play along. You put your guess down in the comments, ounces or grams, whichever you prefer. Even if you already have a comment down there, go ahead and put your guess. And if you enjoy knives and gear, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. That'll notify you anytime I release a video. That way you never miss one. I'm going to give it a go here, and I'm going to say that it feels like it's coming in at a pretty healthy weight for its size. For its size, I'm going to say that we're on the better side of 3 ounces. Does that sound right? It goes against anything we've realized over the last 10 years with companies trying to make everything insanely lightweight. I'm going to say, let's go 3-1. That's what it feels like, but lock it in. Lock it in. Oh! Well, I was a little too hopeful, I guess. 2.6. I said 3.1. Hold on. Don't want to forget the gram, people. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So that was at like 2.8. Now it's playing games. See, that's why it's the arch nemesis. All right. Now it's settling at 2.7. It was at 2.6. Then it went to 2.8. Now it's at 2.7. So I guess we'll lock in 2.7. I was 0.4 off. That's not too shabby. 0.4 ounces. That's not shabby at all. Yeah, that isn't. And 76 grams. Here's where we separate the men from the boys. We're going to get the calipers out and get a couple of measurements on the handle and blade. For the thickness of the handle, that's 0.46 and 11.7 millimeters. We'll go over to the blade stock thickness, and it looks pretty thin. 2.7 millimeters and 107 thousandths. So that is staying down there pretty thin. Let's check the BTE here and see what we're looking at. We'll try to get a good fair hold, and that's coming in at 19 thousandths right there. So that's pretty thin. That's getting down there pretty good for a production knife like this. That's 53 bucks. Should be pretty damn sharp. Let's it should cut really well is what I'm saying. Let's see how our edge is out of the box. We have our catalog paper here, and as I said earlier, this is going to be a great poking and piercing knife, poking and slicing tasks all at once. Perfect for something like this, and it should just be a great slicer in general. It is a little, it almost feels like it could be upswept, but it's really not. It just has that continuous edge up to the belly, right? So it almost has an upswept feel. It almost has an upswept feel to it, but it really doesn't. It's pretty straight from the spine. Love the harpoon look. Really cool blade shape. Not something we see a ton of. And it's not a tall blade, but they kept it nice and thin. And that tells me this was meant to be more of a cutter. You're not going to want to jam this into a crate and rock it back and forth. Not quite meant for something like that. But if you got a ton of stuff to cut up on the daily, you know, something like this is going to work out great. Let's see how they did on the hardware. We'll get our off-grid driver out and see what we're looking at here. T8 is in there, and that's what we have for the pivot. That's what is on the body there. Make sure everything is nice and tight. That is your daily reminder. You have a custom pivot on the back side, and this is something I always find funny. It don't matter if it's Chinese, Taiwanese, Americanese. A lot of companies put the non-tooled side of the pivot on the back side. Why is that? Just do that on the show side. I don't get it. And Ketuo's not the only ones. There's tons of other companies who do that same thing. And I've never, ever understood that. T6 on the pocket clip, not a huge deal. Get yourself some good bits and have a good driver, and you'll be in good shape. But please tell me down in the comments, do you think it makes sense to have the custom side of the pivot on the back side with no tooling, right? And I'll see some companies who do just a standard pivot, non-tooled, right? Just a circular, non-tooled pivot. And that'll be on the back side as well, with the tooled side being on the show side. That just doesn't make any sense to me. Otherwise, though, this is a really clean looking knife, in my opinion. They have a certain way about them. Ketuo does, I mean. And they really speak my language and they really hit me in the sweet spot for things that are different compared to almost everything else. They really have my heart when it comes to that type of thing. We'll run this guy through a couple of checks here, and then we'll introduce it to the old spine whacker. It showed up perfectly centered up there, and the detent could not be more beautiful. This thing is snappy as hell. The studs are placed and done very nicely. You can get that cutout on either side very, very easily. You can come up right under the stud and hit the cutout if you would like for the thumb side. Very easy, no matter what you want to do. Thumb studs on the reverse flick, yep. And that front flipper, you'll be able to index roll over, thumb roll over, and if you have the skill, we'll see if I do, to do the old reach around. Beautiful setup. Excellent, excellent stuff. As far as the closing action, it'll probably break in and be very smooth. Pretty tight tolerances though, so I don't really expect it to just, drop all the way to my nail from the open position. I actually prefer this type of closing action right here. It's still smooth and you have a little bit of resistance. Perfect. Nice little 50-50 area here behind the edge. Like I said, I think the sharpening choil is just fine for a $50 knife. A lot of companies, for whatever reason, struggle with that mightily to really get it in a perfect spot. A lot of companies struggle with that on a lot of different designs. Not sure what the cause of that is. Pretty interesting topic, if you ask me. Let's grab the old spine whacker here, and we'll get a couple of hits in on this feller, and we'll see if there's any movement up or down, side to side. So there's none side to side, but there is a tiny hint of up and down play there on that liner. Little bit, tiny bit, but it's there. I wonder if that'll cause any issues. I don't think it will, but I could eat my words. We're going to do a light tap to get us started. No, we're not doing this to see if you can hammer a nail into a tree with the spine of your blade. We just want to make sure we have a good positive lockup. And speaking of that, it's about 60%. So I would expect this to hold up fine. Let's see here. Just a light tap. Just a light tap to get us going. Pretty good shot there. Just a medium-sized. Let's see here. Pretty good shot there again. There's a tiny, tiny bit. The old double tap, nothing. It's hard to get these lighter weight, smaller knives going, but I'm giving it pretty good pressure. Yeah, sounds good, feels good. Just a tiny, tiny bit of movement in there, and that could be That could just need breaking in. Could be a little bit of debris. It could be both. I'm going to give Ketuo the benefit of the doubt because it's a company that we don't, as far as QC goes, don't really have many issues from them. Rarely, if ever. Final initial thoughts on this fella. I like it. Under $100, well under. And Ketuo not being known for budget-ended knives like this in the $50 range, I love to see it. I can't wait to see more. We need an XL of this under $100 in familiar materials. I think that would be a killer design, an XL of the Woody, XL Woody. Same blade stock, scale this bad boy up to full-size Griffin lengths. And that would be beautiful. Add a button, liner lock with access. And oh man, this knife has a ton of potential. Hopefully the designer sees this. We'll have to let Ketuo know. We need an XL Woody button liner lock with access to the liner like the full-size Griffin and scale this bad boy up. That would be beautiful. However, as it sits, I really like this thing. $53, no problem. Good materials and insanely good build quality, fit and finish, all that type of thing. You'll have to let me know what you think of the Woody here. I always look forward to hearing your thoughts. I will have a link to this knife down in the description. It is available. Do me a solid and hit that thumbs up button. And if you want to see more dope daily knife and EDC content, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you never miss another GBall Vision video. I'll pop a couple of them up on your screen that you haven't seen yet. Go check one of them out. Have yourself an awesome day. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.